This video is brought to you by Dope Marketing. Good morning and welcome back to Morning Brew with the Homeowners. I'm your host, Dmitry Lipinski, and I have Sam Cook in the studio with us today, local public adjuster here in Minneapolis. Today we have 4 defamation cases. Homeowners, contractors, and TV stations are all getting sued over what they said about the project. This show is all about disputes between homeowners and contractors, also problems with the home improvement project. If you have a story, you can reach out to us. And maybe even being featured on our show in the coming weeks. I want to start with this. I feel bad for my co-host today, Sam Cook, public adjuster in Minneapolis, who received a 1-star review because what we have said, was it last week or week before?
It was probably about a week before, yeah.
Week before. So I had David Carroll from Dope Marketing and Sam co-hosting, and Adam was there too. And I'm pretty sure Adam got the 1-star too. So they all got 1-star reviews. What was the review?
Some about I run a political smear campaign.
So if you remember that show, we talked about the business effects after Charlie Kirk assassination, like what happened, how business reacted. A lot of people, have been fired. People have been receiving 1-star reviews. We just talked about it. We did not talk about, we did not bash anyone.
We didn't talk about anyone specific during it.
So, but there was a few examples what happened. So this guy actually received couple hundred negative reviews. We mentioned it because it was a great case study and he did not like it, did not appreciate it. So our first story today actually is about just that. So handyman in West Virginia took a customer to court after she blasted him online. She wrote that he was a 5-time felon, drug dealer, arsonist, and a murderer. Typical online hate, right? And what was the truth? He had 3 felony convictions, so definitely not a perfect guy, but he's not a murderer. The convictions were for attempted meth trafficking, attempted arson, and possession of explosives. Perfect contractor. The judge said the review was false and definitely defamation was there, but because the handyman did not prove any real loss, he only got $1 in damages. He pushed for more, but the court said no. In the end, he won on paper, but the award was just symbolic. Yep. What do you think?
Well, so a few weeks ago, we had Clay Cox on, who is an attorney, right?
Yep.
And so what he talked about really stuck with me. So for a defamation case to be pursued and be legitimate, there has to be something that was untrue. Something has to be falsified. There has to be a statement of fact, not just your opinion. You have to say this is factually what happened. Publication, you have to tell someone about it or post it. You have to show fault. This is a part we'll get on one of the later stories, is public figures versus private figures. And then you have to be able to show the damages, what actual harm was there. Well, this one falls apart right off the bat, right? This person comes in and goes, oh, they're a 5-time felon, drug dealer, arsonic, murderer. Here's the thing. They weren't a murderer. There was no trials of murder. Yep. There was no conviction of it. And that's like one thing that the court stood on. Now, from a 30,000-foot view, do you think that this, statement, if you accidentally call someone a murderer, but they're actually an arsonist, right? Like, is a felony when you're posted online? What do you think? How should this have been ruled?
I guess the problem here is if you don't have a brand, like damages is not hard to prove. Like if you're a branded company, like if that would happen to me, if someone writes me that review and I would have any proof that I lost a sale, like any homeowner saying, hey, we want to go with you, but we didn't because of the review, right? That's how you prove the damages. So when you have a dig in sales, when you're usually do $100,000 a month and now you're doing $40,000 a month, and the only thing that changed is the review, right? Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, when you're a small contractor, chuck in the truck, we call them, and that looks to me that this handyman was, it's very hard to prove who did not hire him because of that review, right? Mm-hmm. So, but I think if that would be big company, he definitely would prove damages and prove losses. But in this case, I think the judge was fair because did you really lose sales? I think it was a personal conflict. And also he did have quite a few felonies charges. And so he wasn't perfect. So it was very personal, very nasty kind of dispute. But I side with the judge.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the judge is right? They called him murderer. He wasn't a murderer.
Yeah.
Do I think there's a bit of gray there? Yeah, I mean, if you tell me someone's a felon for drug issues or something when they were younger, that's going to be very different than, me hiring someone that maybe had a murder background or something like that. So I do think there's kind of a scale, and it goes to murder, I believe, is, ultimately one of the worst ones you could have. So, the damages part, to your point, it's not impossible to prove damages, right? Like there should have been something presented. I'd be interested to know if he had any legal counsel throughout this, right? If he had an attorney, I guess no. I'm assuming he went in, just said, this isn't true. If he had an attorney, they probably would have helped him, put together his damages. And that's where anytime you're going to go to a case like this, you probably should have someone to represent you, because now he spent all that time for a dollar.
And I think in this case, in a very small business, so it could be 5,000, 10,000, not like super amount. But if you would do it on $100 million business, it could be hundreds of thousands of dollars. I actually have been sued, or attempted to, not sued, but I've received a lot of cease and desist letters for defamation case. Last one was actually a year ago by one of the dumbest lawyers I've ever met. Like he literally, it was misspelled legal letter, like it was mistakes. It was embarrassing to even publish it. We have a tradition. If you send us cease and desist letter, we make a YouTube video about it. And
it's a good tradition to have.
It was Mr. Torty. Lee hates a lawyer. So they came after me for defamation. Oh, your videos are false. So I accused him for being Ponzi scheme and con artist. But it's not a defamation if it's true.
Yep.
So if I make up something, like you have all the right to defend yourself and just point out what's not true. They could not do it. They were like, it's defamation, remove the video. Like, what's not true? And in that case, it was, so he made a video how he has like $1 million a week payroll. I'm like, lie. You're running $40 million business and you're claiming $1 million payroll. So he rented this private jet and just telling people how rich he is. And I'm like, lie. How easy it is for someone to prove that your payroll is $1 million. Yeah. Go to ADP, go to your accounting. Here, it's false. He claimed that he made 10 multimillionaires, and same thing. I'm like, I actually call every single person he mentioned, and he's like, no, we don't give him credit. So in that case, it's not a defamation because it was facts. Yeah. So
I think that's a good point to contractors out there, is that like whatever you do, people can share it, right? I've seen a lot of contractors, to your point, and business owners in general go, oh, it's defamation. Well, did it happen? Like, did you steal that money? Did you screw that person over? Did you lie about this? Because if you are out there lying, cheating, and stealing, people can share it. That's not defamation. There's nothing you can do to stop them. You don't have legal protection against the truth.
So question for you, like you received 1-star review from Mitchell. Is that a defamation? Did you go on a political smear campaign?
It's not a defamation case because the damages would be, I don't even know what I would post for damages for that. Ultimately, it's probably reverse of damages, right? Like I can share that, post it, right? I'd probably get more clients just by association there.
100%. I think it's a stamp of approval. If Marcus Mitchell does not recommend your business, it's a good thing. Like you're in a good club. Congrats. Like,
but here's the other part is, for a defamation case, is it has to be factual, not just an opinion, right? And let me see if I can find exactly what was said. Here we go. So the comment said, buyers beware, owner participates in political smear campaign. Well, first off, I don't know about political smear. I don't think he's running for politics that I'm aware of, right? Isn't that what political smear is? Like, so I think it was just told context. So it's like, it's just thrown out.
That was reading probably with the ChatGPT.
Yeah. Well, it was copy and paste across every single post, copy and paste on other business owners, just craziness when you see it. So it's, what was your original question?
Would you sue or would you report it? Are you going to try to delete it?
For me, as a business owner, it's just not worth the time. Like I'll click delete, I'll click report, I'll click block. But for me to, take time out of my day to go argue and sue someone or something like that, it's like if you're going out attacking everyone else over this, that's a reflection of you. It's the same way as a bully in school, right? Like if you're going to go fight them and do all this stuff, like all you're doing is build them up, right? Just let them complain. Nothing you're going to do is going to make you look any better.
My best advice, because I've been in this situation many, many times, when people come accusing me or giving me 1-star reviews, what's not, the best response is just tell your side of the story. People are not stupid. They're going to go online, they're going to read the accusation and the review, and they're going to read the answer. And usually if you're reasonable with the answer, if you come off as nice and polite, not attacking, they're going to love you more, and they're going to see who is who. They're going to see the bully, they're going to see the harassment, and they're going to see that you are reasonable. Now, we're going to take a break. When we come back from the break, we have another story about contractor who lost defamation fight against a TV station. Do not go anywhere.
This storm will not win.
What happened to this guy?
His inside sales rep booked in for another inspection during a storm. We finally caught up to him.
If only he had Agent One, the AI agent custom built for roofers. It follows up on leads instantly, confirms homes on Google Street View, checks the weather, and even keeps appointments within a close range on your calendar.
If a roofer were listening to this, they could try it completely for free. Just fill out the form.
Roofers are already seeing 3-to-1 returns in profit. They'll never miss a lead or end up like that guy.
Did I close the deal?
No. Your competitor had Agent One.
And we are back today covering more defamation stories. If you part of defamation story right now, you can reach out to us. We would like to hear your story. Sam, what's the next one?
Oh, this one's beautiful. Spicy as could be. All right. Contractor loses defamation fight against TV station. So Hallmark Builders said that a Tampa news station defamed them in a story about bad home construction. The broadcast showed cracks in houses, quoted homeowners with complaints, and warned the FTC was watching Hallmark Builders. Hallmark argued it made them look like the only bad builder, but the court said the report was fair. The facts were true, the opinions were protected, and the close-up of the crack wasn't misleading. In the end, the judges tossed the case, the station was cleared, and Hallmark posted.
Lost.
No.
Yeah, lost. I love it. I love everything about it. I think this is the future. So for those of you who don't know me and my story, I started a YouTube channel in the roofing industry 8 years ago. And I was the first YouTuber who was reviewing the products. Like if you go on YouTube, you can see people comparing phones, cars, like, you know, in the roofing industry, no one have ever done it. So like first one was like 2015. Actually, last week, Heath Hicks flew here and he was sharing with my lawyer that he was watching me back in 2015, and I reviewed this one product. I got sued over it, so it's no longer on YouTube. We settle it, but it was like the worst product ever. And I said, like, this should be discontinued. It was my review. I said, this is the worst product ever. We should, and I show people. So Heath Hicks in Texas watching it is like, are you seeing? Call his rep, and his rep who've been with the company for like 40 years. Oh, wow, I did not see it, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I agree 100%. Bad product. Long story short, I got cease and desist. I got letter because I have agreement with the company. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is some industries, including construction, builders, we're not ready a couple of years ago for YouTube and for this kind of publicity. Now, with the YouTube and social media, anyone can go. I see more and more accounts on Instagram and Facebook where people just do home inspections. Like you do a shitty house. Back in the day, people buy because people are desperate to buy. But now you can hire a YouTuber, Instagram influencer to do solid review of the house. And if you cut corners, it will be for everyone to see. And that publicity is not good publicity. Unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about it.
Let me ask you, for this case, how hard do you think news stations look at their scripts when they write them to avoid defamation, right? They know where that line is. News stations have a ton of attorneys. So, right, they're probably pushing right up to that line, but they know, right? They're not going to put anything in there that they can't back up, that they can't prove. Do you think that's a huge part of their business model, is just getting as close to that line? Or do you think sometimes they just...
I think they rely on whistleblowers and on experts, because if I interview you, like, I'm reducing my liability. Like if you tell me and I share it, I take liability. But if I'm just interviewing you, like they can sue me, but they cannot sue me. They can sue you, but not me. like actually this is my favorite. So today I have a whistleblower on my podcast earlier, and he's testifying in court, and actually they're gonna come up with a verdict on October 18. He already testified. He already talking to the police about like faking the damage on the shingles and stuff. So he came to me. I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to study, and I love it because every time we cover the story by reading, even if you just read the court document and you add narrative to it, you're kind of opening yourself to litigation, even though it's a public record and you just reading. But if a person who is involved is kind of like that first source, I mean, like,
Yeah,
what are you going to do?
What they said, and I think that's a big part in the story, right? It mentions that the news station quoted homeowners with complaints.
Exactly.
So exactly, they're not saying this is true or false or saying anything about it. They're just saying, oh yeah, this homeowner told us this. I guess they do that almost every situation, right? They have someone come out and go on there and.
Yeah, it's not your story, it's their story. We're just reporting it. And I think it's also the smartest way. And it also builds the most credibility.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you just go and, all opinionated, like, oh, like my lawyer actually taught me how to do this too. Like, what words to avoid. Like you can't just say they're bad. Like you cannot single it. Like I'll give you examples. So every year I do shingle reviews, and there's like 7 brands, and he said you cannot single out one brand. Like if you do 6 and you just say like, well, but this brand is bad, that's singling out, that's a defamation.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just say like, all right, this is the lightest brand and this is the, whatever, like this shingle lost the most granules, now it's factual.
Yep.
But all rules apply to all of them. But if you constantly bash one, I would bash Tamco probably out of all the brands for what they did. But like he would advise me like, don't do that. Like don't put a bad label on someone, because if judge reviews it and clearly see that you have a bias towards one versus another, now it's not fair review and it's not fair comparison.
Let me ask you on the flip side of this, a trend on the break that we were talking about TikTok Shop, right? And I've noticed this huge amount. I've tried to buy stuff off TikTok Shop. I've never actually clicked order, because every time I find a product where I'm like, this might be interesting, I click the video, and every single video is someone that's sponsored. Every single video is someone getting paid. And every single video is people saying, this is the best thing ever. This is great. They just made all these changes, right? So they're going on this huge rave. Is there a case to be made for the opposite defamation? Now, obviously there's false advertising, but to your point, it's someone's review. They're not saying that anything factual. They're just saying, oh yeah, I like it's this and this. But how do you go with, modern stuff where you're having paid sponsors and influencers that are only saying great things? It's like impossible to find a true solid review. You're only getting either the terrible ones that are defamation or these great ones that are sponsored.
Great question. And we do live in a world where brands, like they have like athletes or spokespeople, right? And actually it's a great risk for any influencer, even if you're Tom Brady. Do you remember recently Tom Brady was under big fire? The guy who went to jail for I think, like financial like scandal, right? So if you're famous and you back in someone, like we talked many times where like HDTV got in trouble. So like when you get associated with a low quality or bad product, like you're actually going to be dragged through the mud with them, and sometimes there's no way out. Like you will be called a sellout. So it's a very dangerous game for the famous person. Now if you're not famous, if you're just spokesperson, it's a little bit different, but it's very, very dangerous game.
And that kind of comes into, we didn't get in great detail with Clay. Next time he's on, we'll have to ask him, but there's a difference in defamation cases between public figures and private figures, right? As a private figure, you're a little more protected because you don't have as much lose. The damages and stuff are not the same. So it's like what we're seeing a lot is these trends of people reviewing stuff online that are private figures, right? They can lie about everything and just stop making videos and no one will ever know.
Well, I'll share this. So I travel all over the country, and I talk to a lot of roofing contractors, and I know a roofing company out of Miami who recently did work on Lionel Messi house, and I know a roofer in Hawaii who did a house on Barack Obama. So both of those cases, they can't talk about it. They can't, like, if when you work for a really, really famous person, you can't, they protect that name, and you'll sign NDAs, you'll sign agreements. You cannot use it for your marketing, advertising, none of that, right? And that's on purpose. Like, I would say, buyers beware. So when you like influencing and like even your Instagram influencer, it's not easy business. Even for people like Kardashians, they have to be so big. The best thing you can do as an influencer is develop your own series, your own brand. Every time you attach to someone else, like, you don't know the quality, you don't know the ethics, you don't know who is behind it. Like, real influencer, like for me, I endorse few brands, but I also have my own roofing outdoor layment, and I do it on purpose because I want to control my quality.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's interesting. The one question of, you can sue for defamation. Do you think there'll ever be any legal way for buyers to go back after all these one-off influencers, all these spoke people that are saying all this stuff, right? It's kind of, I heard someone talking about, like reviews, like, oh, well, you could go have your buddies go make a review on this page, or on your, company page and stuff, but it's like they weren't actual customers, right? So is that, there's a term for it.
False, so 100%.
False advertising.
False advertising. FTC protects it, and I've seen cases where, like, for example, Home Advisor. So FTC fined Home Advisor $7.2 million for false advertising. So you don't get to just go and tell people how awesome something, like create these expectations, right? So as a matter of fact, I think the way we should evolve as a country is go after Japan's path. If you go to Japan, the consumer protection laws in Japan is through the roof. Like if you see a package like a chips, like every single chip inside should be match what's on the picture outside, or the brand can be sued for false advertising, right? Like, here you see a McDonald's perfect burger, and when you go in, it's like smashed and small, right? That would not fly in Japan. So actually, there's tons of people who will open a pack and it's always smashed. I've seen tons of videos. They'll take a complicated candy, but it's such a precision quality control involved in that when you take it out of the back and put it on the front, it always matches. I think that's the way we should be. Now, think about this builder. Like, if you go to his website, if you go to his commercials, probably picture perfect. But then if you go with the camera, now it's a concrete slab cracks and the rest of them. So I think that's the path we should take as a country to protect the consumers from false advertising.
Gotcha. So more transparency.
More transparency, more accountability for the people selling stuff, especially, you're right, like TikTok shops, which one did you mention earlier? Whatnot. Yep. All of those, like, it's okay to sell online. It's okay, the world we live in, but at the same time, we have to be accountable for the message and the promise we're making. It just can't be blank. It can't be just, I'm the best. I mean, by who? Like, you can't just say, like, I'm number one in something without someone like, I'm the greatest. Like, says who? So it should be protected. When we come back after the break, we have another super spicy story about roofers react to insane defamation case. Don't go anywhere.
This storm will not win.
What happened to this guy?
His inside sales rep booked in for another inspection during a storm. We finally caught up to him.
If only he had Agent One, the AI agent custom built for roofers. It follows up on leads instantly, confirms homes on Google Street View, checks the weather, and even keeps appointments within a close range on your calendar.
If a roofer were listening to this, they could try it completely for free. Just fill out the form.
Roofers are already seeing 3-to-1 returns in profit. They'll never miss a lead or end up like that guy.
Did I close the deal?
No. Your competitor had Agent One.
And we are back with my favorite story actually today, because this builder actually gonna win for the first time on the show today. Here's the details of the story. Homeowner hired builder Robert Myers companies to build a new house. The job stalled over permits and driveway rule. The court found that the company allowed its registration to lapse and failed to provide the required disclosures. So the homeowner got $54,000 and $750 back. We rarely see this, but this is actually starts very, very good. When homeowner get the money back, obviously they're upset, but they made whole. But then he bashed the builders in emails, online, and in public meetings, several different ways. Called him a cheat, thief, liar, admitted criminal, and incompetent builder. Claimed he caused a customer's death. Said he cheated on his wife and caught a venereal disease. Built a website calling him the house builder from hell. That's a little extreme. Thug, criminal, and expert liar. Told officials he ran an ongoing criminal enterprise discussed as a building business. So this homeowner went above and beyond to damage this contractor's name. The judge said that was defamation. The builder won $100,000. No corporate veil piercing, no punitive damages, and no win on emotional distress. Bottom line, follow licensing and disclosure rules and keep disputes professional. What a story.
So let's talk about upset clients, right? So I deal with homeowners with denied claims, right? That's all I deal with all day, every day is homeowners that feel like their insurance company's screwing them. That's why they come to us, right?
Are they ever mad at you like this?
Knock on wood. Not yet, right? But we have this where homeowners get very, very emotional, and anyone does, right? You get very emotional when you feel like you've been taken advantage of. You feel like you've been screwed. And we deal with all the time where homeowners come after, go after the insurance companies. There's a whole, I won't say what insurance company is, but there's a few Facebook pages that's I hate blank
State
insurance
Farm.
company. I didn't say it, but so it's like you have these homeowners, they get so upset over it, and it's like, well, listen, running an insurance company is difficult, right? They're not purposely targeting you, they're not trying to screw you, but they feel that way. They're like, State Farm or whatever, Travelers, American Family is personally targeting me and trying to screw me over, and it's not. They're in the business, so you need to prove your claim and all this stuff, and it's why we're able to get claims paid. On that point, with this one, it seems like this homeowner took it far personal, right? Like you had a dispute, you disagreed, you brought it to court, you got paid. You got paid what the courts ruled were fair. At that point, you have to step away, right? It's no different than appraisal in the insurance game or litigation. A lot of cases is like you said, hey, we can't agree. Let's bring it to someone. They come to an agreement. You're not allowed to be upset past that. You're allowed to be upset, but you're not allowed to go drag their name through the mud and try to get back at them emotionally. And for this homeowner, yeah. Well, building a website, I mean, that's
extreme.
That's out of your
extreme.
way. So if you have a bad experience, don't leave a review. Build a website. That's a next level.
And today
right?
with the AI, you can actually, did you know that someone about 4 months ago built a website to bash me?
Really?
Yes.
Can I subscribe? Where do I find? No, I'm just kidding. Share it with everyone.
I have to find it. I have to find it. Like, I don't remember. It was all over.
Really?
Like 6, 7 pages. It was about when I got an underlayment business because everybody hated me, like my competition. And someone went above and beyond. We tracked it. It was registered in India and like horrible. So I know how it feels to be on the receiving end of this.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the courts came back and they're like, no, you owe the builder. Like, so if I'm understanding right, the builder ends up paying the homeowner $54,000, but then they still feel like they're screwed. So they go on this emotional rampage and the courts end up coming back going, actually, you owe the builder $100,000 now, right? You messed up. And it's knowing that spot to stop. Where do you think that line is for a customer where they got paid out, but they still feel like they're screwed? Should they still go after the company?
Well, if you settle in court, 100% no. And again, like what we were talking today, if it's true, it's true. You still can give people a 1-star review. You still can share your experience, but keep it professional. Keep it like, for me personally, if you settle, you settle, right? Like you won. And I think that speaks volumes. Like what I would do, like if that would be me, I would go on Google and I would write 1-star review. I have my dispute. I won $54,000. Like that's your story. There's, it's not like, I like to prove that I'm right. And I like to, for people to know, because that's by itself is the biggest win. Like having judgment against someone, like even if you can't collect it, but winning in court is the ultimate proof that you went in front of the judge. You did not talk about it, or you did not sue. You actually won. You went in front of the court, in court, in front of the judge, and you have a judgment. Like you are in the right, they're in the wrong. What else do you want? But dancing on a grave like this.
Well,
what are you gonna get?
That's actually a great point. Is like effectiveness wise, as this homeowner, if you're actually trying to get back against this company, right? You're trying to make sure they don't get new business, right? You're trying to stand your ground. The route of going and bashing them and creating a website and doing all this stuff probably doesn't do a lot, right? If I see that, I'm always gonna think the person's a little cuckoo, right? Like you're not all here. You went through all that effort. Like they might have screwed you, but like, do you have nothing better going on, right? You lose a lot of credibility when you go that extreme. But to what you just said is if they had just gone on and posted a 1-star review and just said, hey, here's the facts and kept it to the story, like the homeowner or the contractor messed up.
Bigger person.
Yeah. And just said they messed up. Here's what happened. They had to pay out $54,000. I would not recommend using them because of this. I feel like if I was a homeowner and I saw that for a company versus a company I saw this crazy website about, I'm probably going to look at the one with the bad review that's just like blatantly what happened. Be like, yeah, I probably will avoid that company.
Because here's the thing, everybody knows that we do have a lot of Karens in society, and that's why it even became a term, the word. We all know what it means.
No offense to any listeners named Karen, not you. Just
Karen get arrested, Karen this, Karen that. Like it's a term, right? But people also looking for Karens, like they're looking for that label. Yeah. And when they read your review, when they read your story, like even in the public divorces, like when we see husband and wife goes in front of the court, we're like, I don't like him, but I don't like her even more. So I might not like the builder, but I don't like homeowner even more. So I'm actually siding with the builder probably. Yeah. Because you feel that empathy. I think and if I would be a builder here, I would actually use that against the homeowner too. I mean, you won $54,000, but because of what? Your ego and your immaturity, you lost $100K back. Yeah. And I mean, also, like, I used to call people like names and, like making up stuff about other people. And then I turned 6 and it kind of went, right? Like, who does this? Like, claimed he caused the customer death. Like, oh, you're the builder and your customer died. Like,
also, I've built a few houses. I've hired builders. I would have no idea that they cheated on their wife, that they caused a death. Like,
but what does it have to do with anything?
Like they don't know. Like, where is all this coming from, right? Like, I feel like there has to be more of the story. Like, how close were they with this builder? You hire them build a house.
House builder from health. I mean, it's just for me, like the whole like building a website. It just tells you also like that homeowner probably has nothing else to do. Yeah. If you're spending time, but. Also, this shows you how society kind of operates today. Like everybody wants their court date. Like it's probably like this is nasty. And my advice to all of you guys, like you have one life. You change what, like 2-3 houses in your lifetime, if that. You have your first house, like after you got married, then you have second and third. Mm-hmm. If this is how you want to like remember your life when you're like 90, oh, do you remember that builder that we were fighting? Mm-hmm. I mean, life is too short for this stuff. Like, do you remember you built a website for that builder? How did it feel? Like,
once again, we need a giant database that shows us which customers to not work with, right? How that is so critical. Someone needs to build a Yelp, but for consumers.
I see that request every single week by business owners. The problem is legal. Like, think about how many lawsuits we have for reviewing businesses. Like, think about legal nightmare. If you start writing to homeowners, like the violation of privacy, because let's face it, a lot of business owners are not nice people either.
It's true.
So, but you have hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of homeowners. And now if I'm giving you opportunity, like, I don't know.
Here's the thing. I actually don't think it'll be a database. What I think it'll be is someone will come with an AI software that will scrub the internet and you'll be able to see like, okay, I have this homeowner, Bob Johnson in, this city in Minnesota. Show me all the reviews they've written. And they should be able to go, they'll probably be able to go and find.
Google and Yelp does that. You can kind of see that. You can kind of see like their track history. What I want to see is like, I don't like anonymous reviews. Actually, I just saw yesterday, one of the roofing contractors in Tennessee facing it right now. He's being blackmailed. So there is a company, the guy out of India, out of country, who is proficient at review writing. So like very smart guy, has multiple accounts. I've been doing it for years. Wrote him multiple 1-star reviews and won a couple $1,000s to remove them. And he's started email thread with him. He's like, how are you doing it? He's like, I'm smart, I'm this, I'm that. Like, I know how the system works. And he's like, dude, like this can be illegal, like whatever. And he's pretty much blackmailing him. So we have a lot of those accounts who figure out the system. So Amazon says it's one of the biggest problems on Amazon today. You can have a brand new product with a 3,000 reviews from overseas, from like review farms, and it kills the local business here in the United States with the 200 reviews.
Yeah.
How do we combat that?
I mean, that's a big question, right? Is like, should reviews be reserved only for paying clients, right? Or for clients that you've worked with? I think that's a huge thing. Is if even on Facebook,
what do you think? You
yeah,
got
of course.
1-star review today from the guy who did not hire you.
Yeah, I mean, it's irrelevant. Like, how is that any reflection? You know, like, you have no clue what
course.
we even do for a business, right? So it's like,
But I'll push back a little bit on it because I actually reviewed this week case like so. Roofer knocks at the door, well, puts a yard sign. It's a landlord works with him, and homeowner there did not like that he was taking pictures of the house, right? So the homeowner is a homeowner. Even if you rent, maybe you rent to own, right? I feel like if you have interaction with the contractor, if that contractor does something shady, you can call him out, write 1-star review if you want, even if you're a tenant. Like, I'm
well,
just
maybe
saying.
it's not that review should be reserved for it, but there should be, maybe we need two
I
different sections, right?
agree.
It should say this review was from a, paying client. This review was from a random person.
Angie's List used to have great solution for this problem years ago. Angie's List used to have reviews from actually money exchanged or money did not get exchanged. So like pretty much if you gave estimate and they review one like too expensive, it's one type of review. And another one is actually when money is exchanged. Now, like
we need more of that.
Yes, I agree. We're going to take last break. When we come back, we will talk about last story of today about homeowner who called contractor a liar and got sued in return.
Here's what I love about automations. They're working while you're sleeping. When your CRM marks a job approved, boom, postcards automatically go to the neighbors. When your customers hit a certain spend threshold, boom, they get a handwritten thank you note sent out. It's like having a marketing team that never takes a day off and never forgets to follow up. I'm gonna go back to sleep. Let my automations do the work.
And we are back with the last defamation story to finish today's show strong.
Beautiful. So this one, a homeowner calls a contractor a liar and gets sued. It says right on topic today. This case came out of a fight in a Long Island HOA. The developer, Ron Horowitz, was leading the project and handling the money for the promised new clubhouses. Homeowner John Manuia wrote in the neighborhood newsletter that Horowitz wasn't telling the truth about the clubhouse plans and the HOA's finances, calling him dishonest. Horowitz sued for defamation, but the court said he was a limited public figure in that dispute. That meant he had to prove actual malice and prove that Manuia knew his words were false or didn't care if they were. He couldn't. Manuia also tried to sue back when Horowitz blamed him for all the problems, but the judge said that was just heated opinion. In the end, both sides lost and the case was thrown out.
I'm speechless sometimes, but I feel like internet makes us more evil, more nasty towards each other. You know, one thing that I noticed, if you go to big city airport like Chicago, like I swear, like people are meaner, like TSA agents, everybody's like move, 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 like New York, Boston, like all the busy airports, they all have one thing in common. And then you go to smaller towns where it's not busy, like people just nicer, come on, like keep going, right? I think this craziness of life, like the busyness of the internet and all these conversations, it just it affects us. It truly affects our brains, and we become more negative. The busier we get, the meaner we are to each other. Like, I don't know why we do this to each other.
Yeah, it kind of brings up that point. You'll hear a lot of people talk about that. You know, the internet it's kind of like getting money, right? Like a lot of people get money and it doesn't make them a worse person. It just makes them more of who they are. All right. This is actually the last story before this one is a pretty good example. Like that homeowner going and creating a website and doing all this negative stuff. If they were 30, 40 years ago, pre-internet, they would have just gone downtown. They would have had a poster board. They would have stood outside the person's office. They'd posted on the bulletin board at the bar. They'd be sitting at the bar telling everyone, this guy's terrible, don't work with him, right? But they would have been isolated to that. Now we give them this platform and they can post anywhere and share it with everyone. But I think it goes both ways, right? You could use that platform for good. I think this is a case of, two male Karens. That's all it is, right? Like it's
limited public figure. I love that term. Limited public figure. What does it mean?
I wish Clay was here to tell us. That's a legal term beyond my knowledge. It's, he has my understanding that, like it said, is he has to prove actual malice. Like, was the guy coming after him? But in this case, it's both of them just going, well, that guy is lying, and then I'm not lying, but now he lied about me lying, and it's like this back and forth. It's like we talked about this on a story a couple of weeks ago. Is imagine being the judge in this case or the jury, listening back and forth, and like you just are kind of like, I don't want to be around either of you.
Well, that's why both sides lost. And unfortunately, sometimes it happens. Sometimes both parties are wrong. And just because you have more energy or more money does not give you the right to sue or to engage in this kind of behavior. I think too many problems today is because people just want to prove the point and they just doing stuff because they can. Mm-hmm. We're like that bored. Like to sue each other and to like it gets and I feel like the bigger the business, the bigger the resources. Like you just start doing what you can, not what you should. Mm-hmm. Even when and we have too many of those. Like it just at the highest level, if you run very, very successful business, you start going if your pitfall is like fighting. Mm-hmm. Like it'll be end of your business sooner or later,
guaranteed.
For no reason. Like I don't understand this behavior. You have developers, you have like big names, and now I do want to say this: if we have to protect our reputation, like if someone calls me dishonest, and I do feel like that person have audience, like I will reply nicely, and like people called me like names and this and that, and I know my record. You don't have to always defend yourself. But if it's if someone made 5 videos about you, I think sooner or later you will have to respond. In your opinion, what's the best damage control when someone questions your integrity?
A direct response, right? We've talked about this before of, the bad reviews is just call them out, or someone's mad about something. Like just call them out and be like, hey, here's the actual facts. Here's what happened, right? Don't feed into it. That's the biggest thing. Don't get just as riled up. Don't go on and take a video. This guy's an idiot. Screw this guy. Like, it's not going to help your case. It's going to make you look bad, right? And that's what happened here, right? I have a feeling if the developer just stood his ground and gone, he's wrong, and just been calm, cool, collected, I have a feeling it probably wasn't presented that way. We don't know, but when you get just as fired up as them, all you're doing is stoking the flames, right? You're giving them extra energy, and then now what? You're both heated, right? Same as when you're talking to your wife, right? If you guys are getting into a bicker, you probably just go in other rooms and calm down, right? Like you're not going to keep firing back and forth. It just turns into this emotional rampage.
I want to share a story from last week. I actually have one person who asked me to call him. His name is Greg Siebold. He's a sheriff from North Carolina. Amazing story. So we have a YouTube channel called Not My Cup of Tea. You can listen to the conversation there. And this is a great example of exactly what's happening here. So this person, this sheriff, have heard that, I mentioned that he is good friend with one of the criminals, Mary Jane, in that area, because he posted a yard sign in front of her yard. So that person demanded that I call him. He's like, you better call me. And I surely did. And I recorded the conversation and I published the conversation, and he ended up blocking me because he did not like the fact that I published that conversation. But it's just to show you, sometimes you have to tell your ego to shut up. You're not always right. It doesn't matter how many years you've been doing whatever it is that you're doing. Like, people can disagree with you. People can accuse you of stuff. It's not end of the world if people question your integrity. It's not end of the world if they think that you meant something bad. but how you react to it matters. If you're a bigger person, you can clear it up. Actually, that's exactly what happened with another guy. I shared a post and he messaged me private. It's like, did you mean what you said about me? Like, he was a public adjuster. It was the different story. I'm like, no, sir, I'm sorry if you took it that way. But he was like bigger person. He was like, if you have anything, just let me know, right? Like, there's ways how to deal with the negative energy, and fighting negative energy with negative energy and suing people and going like.
There's a saying for that. It's fighting fire with fire. It doesn't work.
Why Americans like lawsuits and going to court? Because it's American thing.
That's actually had a virtual assistant say that to me the other day. Something about, Americans, you guys just like to fight. You just want to fight. And it's like, well, no, that's not always true. Sometimes it is, right? Like, I don't know what it is, but it's this certain, part of the American mantra is, believe what you believe and stand your ground, right? And the issue is we forget that sometimes we can be wrong, right? That's something you talked about. And it's something we deal with every day, right? We're sitting here arguing with insurance companies and we'll believe through and through something's owed. And then we have to take a step back sometimes and go, maybe they are interpreting it, right? Because, an insurance policy, a claim can be interpreted multiple ways, can be seen multiple ways. And you have to take that step back and go, am I wrong? I want to be clear. A lot of times we're not wrong. Okay. But
do you agree that America runs on lawyers, or lawyers run America, whatever the saying is?
I don't know about that, but I know the only person that wins every time in a court case is a lawyer, right? And it's, no offense to lawyers out there, but a lot, you go to courts and guess what? You're paying the lawyer whether you win or lose, right?
I also think that people watch too many movies about lawyers growing up, most of us, and we like just picturing ourselves like, I go in front of like judge and there's going to be this argument. Listen, I've been in court probably like 10 times, never lost a case. What you see in the movies, it's not always how it goes.
It's much more boring and drawn out than that.
It's more like reality TV.
Yeah.
But even reality TV, like from courthouses, even reality TV is not even close, because reality TV is a drama. It's handpicked stories. Usually it's crap like this, where a judge is like, I'll share one story with you. One homeowner was suing me for $11,000. It was a $3,000 job, flooring job. He owed me $500 at the end. And he was making up stuff that he did not paint his house for like 8 years, and he wanted me to pay for the paint job. When you do the floors, you have this rubber hammer, and one of 3 walls will have some marks, right? And he told me, once you finish the floors, I'll paint the house. And here he is suing me for $11,000, pretty much for the paint house. So he brought 115 pictures to court, right? And I have a lawyer, actually one of my customers, and judge look at the pictures. It was the pictures of ceiling, it was pictures of walls. It's like, why we have pictures of doors and ceiling? I thought we have a flooring job. The judges are not stupid. They can read you and they can read both parties. So he took the pictures back after like 5 of them. He clearly knew, like, he gave me $500. He did not give the guy $11,000. He was just bullying me because I'm an immigrant. I don't know. They all think they can win. They never do. But the judge pretty much like, this is stupid. Get out of here. And he was suing me. So just because you have money, just because you think you can do it, does not give you moral or legal right to do it. Like, you will be exposed. And I think we romanticize, what's the word? Romanticize the court system. And in reality, it's much uglier, simpler, and sometimes you will be embarrassed.
I think it, it comes back. There's that old joke that like every grown dude thinks he could land a commercial jetliner, if the pilot was, passed out or something, right? They're like, I could fly down. I think every person also thinks, well, I could be an attorney, right? I could go in this courtroom and win this case, and don't realize really the amount of work that goes into them. So save a little bit of face with the attorneys out there I talk smack about. Is like, it is critical to have those people. And this last story was an example of that. 2 people thinking they're right, refusing. It looks like neither one really had counsel, or they probably would advise them to not even go there.
Absolutely. Thank you for being with us today. It's a wrap for the day. Thank you for being our loyal audiences. That's today's brew. See you back here next week for another fresh cup.
Here's what I love about automations. They're working while you're sleeping. When your CRM marks a job approved, boom, postcards automatically go to the neighbors. When your customers hit a certain spend threshold, boom, they get a handwritten thank you note sent out. It's like having a marketing team that never takes a day off and never forgets to follow up. I'm gonna go back to sleep. Let my automations do the work.